You have probably seen one without knowing what you were looking at. A pale green shape clinging to the side of a tree trunk or resting against a porch wall in the early morning. Wings the color of new leaves, trailing two long ribbon-like tails that catch the light when it moves. Most people walk past it, assuming it is simply a large, oddly beautiful moth. What they do not realize is that they are looking at a creature living through the final hours of the only week it will ever get. And the way it spends that week, and whether it survives to spend it at all, depends almost entirely on choices most of us make without thinking twice. Let's start with the detail that changes how you see everything else about this insect. The adult Luna moth has no mouth. Not a small one, not a vestigial one. None. It has no working digestive system either. It cannot eat. It cannot drink. Every bit of energy it will ever use as a winged adult was stored months earlier, back when it was a caterpillar steadily feeding on leaves, building up a reserve of fat it would later spend down to nothing. Once it emerges from its cocoon, that reserve is the entire budget for the rest of its life. There is no refueling. There is only spending. And it spends fast. A Luna moth typically lives for about a week as an adult, sometimes less. Every wingbeat, every minute spent flying through the dark searching for a mate, draws down a battery that can never be recharged. This is not a creature built for endurance the way a migrating bird is, conserving energy across a long journey with the promise of food waiting at the other end. This is a creature built for a single, narrow purpose. Find a mate, complete the cycle, and then, quietly, it is gone. In a very real sense, the Luna moth skips the entire adult project of feeding and foraging that defines most animal lives and exists purely as a brief, glowing conclusion to a much longer story that happened underground, out of sight, as a caterpillar. Which raises an obvious problem. How does an animal with only a handful of nights left find a mate in a pitch-black forest with no time to spare and no room for error? It uses the moon. Luna moths navigate using something called transverse orientation, holding the moon at a fixed angle relative to their flight path, and using that constant reference point to fly in a straight, efficient line through the dark. It is an elegant solution, refined over an enormous span of evolutionary time, built on the reasonable assumption that the brightest light in the night sky will always be very far away and always in roughly the same place. That assumption held for millions of years. It stopped holding the moment humans invented the outdoor light bulb. When a Luna moth encounters a porch light, it makes the same calculation it has always made, treating the light as if it were the distant moon and trying to hold it at a constant angle. But the moon is hundreds of thousands of miles away, and a porch light is a few feet away, and that difference breaks the math completely. Instead of flying a straight line, the moth ends up spiraling inward, circling tighter and tighter around the light source, unable to escape the pattern its own navigation system is forcing it into. Every minute spent trapped in that spiral is a minute drawn from a battery with no way to recharge. For an animal with only days to live and a single biological task to complete, a bright porch light left on overnight is not a minor inconvenience. It can be the difference between finishing the cycle and not. There is a second, quieter threat, and it has nothing to do with light at all. It has to do with leaves. Luna moths do not spin their cocoons high in a tree, safely out of reach. They build them low, on the ground, often wrapped inside a single fallen leaf that camouflages the cocoon through the winter until it is ready to emerge in spring. Which means that every autumn, when a yard gets raked clean, bagged up, and hauled to the curb in the name of tidiness, an unknown number of the next generation is being removed along with it. A perfectly manicured lawn, stripped bare of leaf litter, is not just aesthetically sterile. For a Luna moth, It is a place with nowhere left to overwinter at all. Put those two facts together, and something becomes clear. The Luna moth is not a random visitor to your yard. Like the amphibians that only settle into soil that has passed a certain invisible chemical test, the Luna moth is a living readout of two very specific conditions: a sky dark enough to navigate by moonlight instead of by mistake, and a yard left just messy enough to shelter a cocoon through the winter. When you see one resting on your porch at dawn, what you are actually seeing is confirmation that both of those conditions, quietly and without any effort on your part, have already been met. Its presence is not an accident. It is closer to a certificate. And this, unlike so many stories about vanishing wildlife, comes with an unusually simple fix. The Luna moth does not need you to plant anything, restore any acreage, or fund any large-scale project. It needs two things, and both cost less effort than the status quo. First, the light. Swapping a standard white LED porch bulb for a warm amber or yellow-toned bulb, or simply switching outdoor lights off overnight instead of leaving them running until dawn, removes the false moon that has been quietly killing moths in spirals around porches for decades. Second, the leaves. Leaving even one corner of your yard unraked through autumn and winter, rather than clearing every leaf down to bare soil, preserves exactly the kind of camouflaged, ground-level shelter a Luna moth cocoon depends on to survive until spring. That is the entire ask. No feeder to fill, no pond to dig, no chemical-free protocol to maintain year-round. Just less light and a little more mess, offered in the exact two spots where this insect happens to need them most. It is worth sitting with how strange that trade actually is. An animal that cannot eat, cannot drink, and has only about a week to complete its entire adult existence is asking almost nothing of you in return for that week happening successfully. No mouth, no digestive system, no margin for error. And still, if you give it a dark sky and an untidy corner, it will find a way to finish what it came here to do. Have you ever found a Luna moth resting on your porch or a nearby tree? Or are you planning to leave a few leaves for one this year? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want to understand another creature whose presence quietly certifies something true about the world around it, the next video is already waiting for you.